BlackRock. This is the largest asset management firm in the world, not in the country, in the world. I think they control well over $10 trillion under management. They're major owners of companies like Apple and Microsoft and Amazon. Rich served 8 years in the Army, served in the Secret Service. He was a police officer in New York City before coming to BlackRock, which is a pretty cool, interesting path. I want to hear about that. Went to Harvard, and is now a relationship manager there. So, Rich, we are just so excited that you were able to come on and join us and spend a little time with all the transitioning vets. So, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Jordy. I think it's important to give back. I was all in your shoes not too long ago, and I appreciate whenever anybody took the time to give me some advice from the industry who are veterans themselves. So thank
Yeah.
you.
You got it, buddy. You got it. So I'm gonna let one of our transitioning vets MC this session with you if you're cool with that. This is John is gonna come on and he's gonna ask you a few questions. We'll take questions from the group here. But he's into IT and I just thought it would be a cool experience for him to come on and do this. So John, you there?
I am, yeah.
All right, buddy, take it away. Maybe Jed, if you could pin John too. All right, go ahead, John, whenever you're ready.
We're gonna do this live. Cool, awesome. So,
I put him
um,
on the spot.
yeah. Rich, thanks for coming in and talking to Seven Eagle today. One of the questions I have is, what's kind of like your background? Like, what's your veteran experience?
Sure. So since I was a young boy, I knew I wanted to be in the military. Uh, my younger two brothers and I all had the same thing, so it was kind of nice growing up. All of us played soldier together, watched movies, and we all knew that we were going to join the military. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do in the military. I remember shopping around quite a bit between the different branches. And in high school at that time, I did the Boy Scouts, but then I had to choose between the Boy Scouts and the local police cadet program. So I went with the local police cadet program, not really committing to a career in law enforcement, just some kind of interest. But I knew I had an interest in intelligence agencies, and the Army thankfully allowed me to pick what MOS I wanted to have. So I went for human intelligence collector. It's a 35 mic. And essentially, you're responsible for conducting interrogations, handling human sources of information, so like informants, among other intelligence collection activities based on human intelligence. So I wanted to do the reserves because I wanted to still attend college and have a civilian career. I knew I didn't want to make a career out of the military. I just simply wanted to serve at some point in my life. So I did my basic training at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Subsequently, I went to AIT in Arizona at Fort Huachuca, and it was about a year-long program. Thankfully, I passed the program. I was sent to my reserve duty station over in Connecticut, and at that point, prior to the military, there was a moment in time where I was able to attend a semester of college, and I was really distracted with my with me wanting to go into the military. I was always a good student in high school, but I was really distracted with the military. And when I came back, I had this focus that I was able to be mission oriented and really put my head down into what I want to do. And I started my studies from there. Would you like me to keep going?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Yeah, sure.
Like just trying to understand, like, how long, like, did you serve in the military? Like, what's one or two skills that you got from your experience?
Yeah, sure. The ability to talk to people. We conducted mock interrogations quite often at my unit, and it would be like someone like my friend, and he would be playing a detainee, and I would be an interrogator, and it was almost like acting You know, he had to take it very seriously. And what that did was allow me to be able to have conversations with just about anybody. I didn't care how senior you were or how junior you were. I was about to level set with you and speak with you and get what I need to get done. It allowed me to do that. Additionally, the military allowed me to put my head down and be mission oriented. So
Yeah. So I took a look at your LinkedIn page real quick, and I saw that you were a New York City police officer for a couple years. So what made you were talking about that you always wanted to do law enforcement before, but like, how did you use those skills that you picked up in the military, like directly into being a beat cop?
right. So I uh I was actually at this crossroads. I was in the process of joining the NYPD, but at the same time, I just finished an internship with the Secret Service New York field office. I knew I didn't want to be in the Secret Service. And I additionally was going through the process for an intelligence agency at the time. So I was at this crossroads where I was either going to be a New York City cop or work for an intelligence agency because both were at the end game. And just based on things going on, I just got engaged to my wife. I just bought an apartment. I was like, I have to be pretty grounded here, and I went with the police route. Um, I was in the academy. I did well academically, and I was the top shooter in my academy class of 550 people. So I was able to pick any precinct I wanted in New York City, and I could have chosen to be in Midtown or any other cushy spot, but I really wanted to work and prove myself. So I chose the probably the most dangerous precinct in the New York City Police Department. I was in the South Bronx, and as soon as I got to the precinct, I got a tour of the precinct, saw some of the folks on the special operations team, the plainclothes teams, the guys who get guns off the street, and I was like, okay, I want to do that, and they put me on a foot post, and it was time to hit the ground running. So if you put me on a foot post, I was going up to the rooftop with a gang roster and binoculars, looking at the park, seeing who was there, who was wanted. I would make arrests on a foot post, like, all right, let's get this guy a car. So they gave me a car. There was a backlog of, I would come into work and there was anywhere from 25 to 50 unanswered 911 calls just due to sheer volume. And every shift they would turn out 50 cops, and that's how busy it was. 50 cops, and there was still a backlog of 25, 50 jobs. So I came into work. And what I would do is, instead of like holding on to some jobs, acting like I was there longer than I was, as soon as I was done with the job, I said, give me another one, give me another one. So I just kept working as hard as I could. And eventually, the day after I got off probation, so about 2 years in, I was picked up for the precinct special operations team, their anti-crime team. I was on a plainclothes team where we would get firearms off of gang members. We would have informants stop robberies that were happening like live, and it was really exciting. And I did that for about 2 years. So at about my 4 year mark, I was like, all right, I'm either going to be a detective, get promoted to sergeant, or go to a federal agency. At the time, I was in the process for the FBI, the HSI, and the DEA. And I had opportunity to represent the NYPD at the Naval Postgraduate School in California. I was the sole representative of the department. Other people from various local, state, federal agencies, even some private folks. And it was a program about creating change within your respective agency. And so I did that. It was called the Emergence Program. And I came back to the NYPD and I proposed my change. It was intelligence oriented, and I just felt good. I was like, all right, I'm making a lot of great moves here in the department. And then one day, I did a car stop and I was gravely injured, and it just ended my the path that I was on. I wasn't able to get promoted anymore. and I wasn't able to be on any special teams. They put me in the courthouse as like this administrative liaison. And so I went from all this excitement to, all right, you're in a courthouse, or oh, you're doing like surveillance, you're like monitoring a camera. And it was just, it was pretty soul crushing. But I knew that if I stopped, and if I stopped and didn't take initiative and keep this momentum going, I knew that I could get stuck. And so I hit the ground running again. And I know that I was good with languages. I did 8 years of Italian. The Army gave me some functional Russian along with my own studies. I was like, all right, I'm going to study Japanese. And yep. And and then also I applied to this. So I was like, all right, I'm going to study Japanese and I'm going to apply to some postgraduate schooling. So I applied to Harvard Kennedy School of Government's program. This is during COVID, and everything was remote. So I figured it would be pretty seamless if I was able to do it. And sure enough, it was. And I got accepted. And it was about a 2.5 year long program where pretty much once upon completion of the program, if you just did a semester at Harvard, you would get your master's in public administration. So I did that and studied Japanese with private lessons. I was like, all right, this is good. This is a good base for like trying to reinvent myself here. And I was like, all right, so what am I going to do? I have a cousin who's like a doctor, so I spoke with her, and it was just not feasible. I already have a mortgage, I have a family. I'm like, I can't, because when you apply to be a doctor, you can't pick where your med school is going to be. You can't pick your residency. I'm like, what am I going to do? So I looked at my career options. I didn't want to be a lawyer. And I was like, all right, like I always had this interest in finance because my mother was a secretary on Wall Street for various firms for about 30 years. And she used to take me to the trading floor, and I always thought it was exciting. I'd watch the Wall Street movies, and I always thought it was exciting. I just didn't know anything about the world or how to break into it. I mean, as a matter of fact, right after I was injured, I shot a bunch of applications out to various firms unsuccessfully. I didn't network. I didn't have a good LinkedIn page. I didn't tailor my resume. I was just putting it out there into the ether and just wasn't getting any traction. So in 2023, I decided to take my next steps very seriously. I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this right, I need a network. I attended various veteran networking events. One happened to be at BlackRock, actually, and met some folks there. I joined a number of mentorship programs, and I took the lessons I learned from the people in the industry and took them seriously. And I made sure that they knew I existed. I had in my notes on my phone, I had the list of every contact I've met, when was the last time I spoke with them, and who they work for, what they do. And I would treat it like it was a second job. I would make sure that they knew I existed, that we had a good rapport. Yeah, there were some dead ends, but I still talk to those people today, even though I'm already in the industry. And it ended up paying off over time. I didn't even know like what jobs were really out there. I remember when I first spoke to my mentor, who's an investment banker at Wells Fargo, I was like, hey, I want to be an investment banker, a trader, or a portfolio manager. And if anybody knows anything about finance, those are like the three heavy hitter jobs of the finance industry, and they're quite hard to get into, extremely competitive, and people have much more experience and education than I do to even get into those fields. So my mentor was able to ground me and give me advice on, hey, you have this background. It's unorthodox. What can you do in this industry that relates to what you've done? And being a relationship manager ended up being a pretty well fit for me. I I enjoy talking to people. I could talk to anybody, as I told you before, and I like the service aspect of it. And I was I was able to uh, find uh, comfort in knowing, like, okay, like I at least finally know what kind of job I want to have. Um, so I even had some luck. I applied to an investment banking firm, and this is how like you could get picked up for a job. I applied to an investment banking firm, and he was over in London, and he happened to be friends with London cops, and he thought it was so crazy that an NYPD cop wants to be into finance. And he interviewed me, and he actually, if you gave me the chance to speak with you, I held on to that, and I made sure that I did the best I could and made sure you didn't forget me. And sure enough, I made to the final four for that job. There was about 500 applicants I remember seeing on LinkedIn. I made to the final four, and they froze the job for budget reasons, but it gave me the confidence, like, okay, I could get this far on the fact that this guy, oh, you're a cop, that's pretty interesting. Let me talk to you. And I almost got a position like that. So needless to say, I had this extensive network, and one day someone at BlackRock said, "Hey, there's a job opening. I think you'd be a good fit. Make sure you apply to it when it opens up." And I was eventually selected for the role, and I completed my transition. And that's not the end of it, though. When I first got to the business, yeah, it was very much. Um, I felt uh, I had a lot of catching up to do. I felt like imposter syndrome. I remember the first couple meetings I attended, I only knew about 20% of what they were saying in that meeting, and that was pretty daunting. But I just trusted the process of just keep doing your work. Everything will eventually come your way, and you'll learn your role. And at this point, about a year in, I could say that I'm definitely comfortable in my role. So.
That's awesome. First off, I want to say thank you for being vulnerable with your story. Especially about the injury and that kind of stuff. That can be really difficult to talk about a little bit. And I think it's something that a lot of us veterans actually, we kind of have similar stories, and we don't always get to share that. But I appreciate that you're able to kind of put that out in the chat today. With working with BlackRock, do you find that that there's a whole bunch of other veterans in there, or are you kind of like the one fish in like the giant fishbowl?
Thankfully, based on the other veteran contacts I had, there's a lot of veterans in the industry. I know an Apache pilot who became a trader, so he had another crazy transitioning story. Like there's a submarine guy who's a portfolio manager. So there's thankfully like a lot of veterans in the industry, but each firm handles their veterans differently. I happen to learn from them that BlackRock actually has one of the best veteran environments. They have a really active club, an active like Teams chat, and there's always something going on. I've met two Medal of Honor recipients at BlackRock. I got to take a tour of a Navy ship through BlackRock. They have a very robust uh, veteran program, and they really appreciate their veterans. And a lot of other firms do, but I even hear from other people in the industry that BlackRock has a great appreciation for veterans.
Yeah, that's awesome. Sort of had a similar experience. I actually did a information call with Visa about a week ago, and I was very surprised to see how many veterans are actually like in that financial space. SVP was a veteran. A couple of their managers were veterans. Like all the people on that call was veterans. I was like, wow, like I did not expect that from a white collar financial industry at all. One thing I also want to ask, and I think it'll be super helpful to some of the people in the chat, is can you talk a little bit about your resiliency? Like, how did you deal with, being in a room and probably uncomfortable and only understanding like 20% of what was going on in the room. Like, how did you deal with that feeling? And then what did you do to kind of like overcome that?
Absolutely. At first I was like, okay, let me see this first meeting and see how. And as a relationship manager, you have many meetings throughout the day. Some are with clients and some are internally. Um, on the client meetings, it was like the old saying, like seen not spoken, you know. So I just sat there quietly and just took it all in. Um, internally, I would ask any questions that I would have that would come to mind, typically after the meeting with my own manager. But once I had that first meeting where I only understood like about 20% was being said, I was like, next meeting, I'm gonna write down every single thing. And thankfully I type fast, but I literally like transcribed the meeting and I highlight anything I didn't understand. I was like, let me look this up. Let me leverage AI. Let me whatever I need to do to understand what's going on here. And come to find out that a lot of people in the industry, uh, there's many meetings that go on throughout the day, and you may find yourself in a meeting that, yeah, this is not my role. They're just talking. They're bringing me along for visibility, and you may not know or have to know everything that's going on. So, but you only know that as you keep attending these meetings and working on these projects, and I just trusted that okay, constant exposure, I will eventually pick up something. But it's also important to ask questions. You have to, certain things you're just not going to know just by listening in constantly. You're not going to learn a language just by being in a room with people who are speaking different language. You're not going to learn it eventually. You know, you have to ask questions. And, uh, and yeah, I just found myself just wanting to constantly prove myself. I already knew that I was an outlier with my background, and I wanted to prove like I belong here. You gave me the chance, I'm going to seize it.
That's awesome. I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like all that stuff happened like while it was 100% in the office, right?
The meetings themselves.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, a lot of the meetings are virtual
Okay.
nowadays. So I think only a few, just because my clients are all over the world, and some of my teams are at different cities. A lot of the meetings are virtual, but there are some that are in person. But I will bring a notebook. I see other people bring a laptop. I will always take notes whenever I can.
Yeah. So with your team kind of like all over the world and with like your clients also all over the world, how is like your work-life balance?
It's actually pretty well. I learned hey, so I understand that investment banking, if you're an investment banker, you could have like long hours. It's well documented in the media, and I thought it was going to be similar to that. I even heard from friends in the industry like, "Oh, you're going to be there all night, working at BlackRock," and there actually is a very good work-life balance, especially in my role. Um, I typically get to work between 7 and 7:30 in the morning, and I typically leave between 5 and 5:30. And as of now, we are allowed to work from home once a week. This is my work from home day.
Come to me.
And right. And yeah, there is a nice balance. Some days are busier than others, but it's important to have that balance, and even my my supervisors, they also like encourage making sure you have a good work life balance. And like one of the pieces of advice that I've heard from a mentor was that like any company you work for will take as much as you give them. If you want to give them your free time, give them more than ours, they will happily take it. It's important that you give yourself your you set your boundaries as to what you're able to do with your life.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And I think again, as vets, like we're all really used to that because Uncle Sam takes everything from us, right? Like that's part of the contract. So I think it could be difficult for us a little bit to kind of like understand how do we put like some of those guardrails in our lives. So how do you have that conversation with your supervisor about, hey, like I'm willing to give like 110%, but here's my left and right bounds.
Absolutely. I went into uh I went into this industry like at the very beginning thinking that I'm gonna have to give 110% and I'm willing to give it. It was my managers actually told me in the first couple of meetings, like, hey, like, I understand you're new. I understand things might be all over the place for you in terms of understanding what's even going on. Uh, but make sure you give yourself that time to to yourself. And if I ever needed, hey, I have to go pick up my son early, or oh, I have to go get my car serviced. I'm gonna be out for like a couple hours. I just communicate with that. I'm like, is this okay? And they would tell me, yeah, yeah, that's fine. Um, I would let them know in advance, like, hey, I want to take this vacation. Is this okay? Is this a good week? And they would let me know if it's good. So it's just communication, and it's really my own supervisors who told me to make sure you have those boundaries in place.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Do you mind taking a few questions? Because we've got a couple hands popping up already.
Absolutely.
So I guess we'll kind of go in order. So Michael, if you want to lead us off.
All right. Thank you, John, for monitoring this, and Richard for your time for coming on here talking to us. But the question I would ask is, having spent some time since you separated from the military, and have definitely had some really big steps going up. What would you say is something that you have focused on, maybe leaving a legacy away from with your job title?
Um, Something I want to leave, something I want to be like known for, you would say, like, or is that what you?
Yeah, like something that, like when you're away from the place, maybe from places you've been before that you've moved on from. What is something that you've maybe had focused on intentionality with you know what you've left behind?
Uh, I I would say that I just wanted to make sure I'm able to provide for my family, but also have uh, just amazing life experiences. As you know, as I think it's important to live your life. There's so many people, and not give them whatever. There's so many people in the industry that, yep, I went to college for finance. I got into finance, and I'm here, and that's it. And as veterans, we have that extra bit of life experience that's valuable, that's exciting. And I think it's important to live an exciting and fulfilling life while still being able to provide for you, your family. And I know I have a wacky background, and I'm quite proud of it. I'm happy that that I was able to get here. I think it's important to always remember where you came from as you move forward.
Awesome, thank you. The follow on to that is, how does that direct you on how you proceed where you're at?
Yeah. I still want to grow in the industry. I have aspirations within the industry that I want to pursue, that I'm actively doing at this time. I'm studying, I'm learning, I'm still networking. I meet with people on a weekly basis. They may not be from my own workplace. I will still meet them. I'll still grow my network. I'll still talk to the older people that I was communicating with prior to even getting hired. It's just constantly maintaining relationships and leveraging your network.
So it doesn't really that really hasn't ever changed on your way up. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's money, or are you kind of that worst patient?
That's a good question. So my particular field, I'm a relationship manager for our middle office outsourcing business. So essentially, what that means is my clients who are not individuals, they're institutions. when they're making trades, I make sure they go through successfully. So I'm not really managing their portfolios. That's what a portfolio manager does. That's what traders do. But I make sure that I maintain my own finances responsibly. And there's even been a few instances where I've asked like a colleague, "Hey, like, what do you think about this?" And they would help me. So
Cool. Thank you.
thank you.
Awesome. David, you're up next.
Hey, what's going on, Richard?
Hi, how are you?
The resume will speak for itself. As I was looking at LinkedIn as you're telling it, I'm like, man, it's crazy. My question is, what's the grind like at BlackRock? Is it something you knew, like you can lean on experiences in the military going, hey, there's not much difference here. It's just, something I'm still learning on about, or what's it like there? And the culture kind of behind that, like, are you called on after work hours? Is it like, hey, we have to have a quick meeting? Hey, tonight we have, we have to have a late dinner with the client. What's that like?
Sure. I uh I would say that the work life balance is fairly well in my particular position. I've heard instances across the industry where people are working late, and and there's times where I've had to work late, or I've had to get dinner with clients, and I get such, or even some others have to travel to meet clients, and there's I get any kind of things like that. You typically know in advance. Like I would know well in advance, like, all right, this is gonna be a big deal. I'm gonna have to be here a little bit after work, or all right, in 2 weeks I have to go meet this client for dinner. And it's well in advance where I could plan around it. There's been few instances of where, oh man, this is last minute and I'm stuck here. But I take it in stride. I communicate with my family, my bosses, anything I need, to make sure that everything goes smoothly. But I would say that overall, at least in my role at BlackRock, I have a great work-life balance.
That's good to hear because I have this vision of like New York City, hustle bustle. Hey, even if you're off work, you're pretty much still on work. And then
Yeah,
in the military, some of our veterans, as you get older, senior in the military, you kind of start noticing that you're working more and more and more because you're taking care of people. You have a bigger boss that you have to answer to, more responsibility. My next question was, BlackRock it's huge, and you seem to land a job there, and it's one of those things like, is this pinnacle for you? Is this kind of like, hey, I think this is like the pinnacle of being an asset manager, I guess. Like, is this it for you, or you're kind of always like, I'm kind of always looking, you never know, or you're just looking to move up in BlackRock?
uh, I'm not, I'm not, I'm not really sure. I would say that it's important in any, especially civilian career, um, that you need to be on your toes. You need to, okay, I want growth within this firm. Um, but also like, all right, what else is there? At the end of the day, you need to grow as a person. And if you if you are striving for more, you could plan to strive for more internally or externally simultaneously. You can make sure that, hey, like this is my route for this, this is my plan for that. And as long as you learn what steps need to be taken, what I need to do, and you stick with it, um, you're well prepared for any kind of growth or transition in the industry.
Yeah, I like that. I like the way you put that. And because sometimes in the military, when you're moving station to station, mission to mission, sometimes you could be stagnant. And it's not your fault. Sometimes it's something above you, the mission, the unit, the money, whatever. But it's like you're always looking for something new. You're waiting for that next assignment after a couple of years. So it's like I wonder in the civilian life, as I transition myself and all of us, is like, is that something to look forward to? Some of us want like, I guess something stable. But in the same sense, I think in the back of our heads, it's like, I think we're always going to be looking for more. And
Yeah,
that's just natural. So,
and I think it's good to always look for more. I mean, if I mean, case in point, in terms of being stagnant, when I was injured, I I took no, I wasted no time. I was like, all right, I recognize this is a dead end. It's time to do what I need to do to reach for more. I didn't want to leave. The NYPD was paying me well at the time, and I was supporting my household. And I was like, okay, I can't just be like, all right, I got injured, let me go work at a part-time gig. I was like, I need to not only meet my previous salary at the NYPD, but I want to exceed it. I want a high ceiling that's able to be reached. And working in finance was that end game for me.
Awesome. No, it's thank you for everything. Awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
No. Ryan, you're up next.
Hey, how's it going, Richard? And thank you for taking the time to speak with us. My question kind of goes towards the networking aspect that you spoke of. So, like, what would be your advice? Because, like, I feel like I could have a good conversation with somebody, but like when it comes down to that networking side of things, it kind of feels a little uncomfortable. So, like, what would be like your piece of advice if you can go back and try to give yourself that like piece of advice when it comes down to networking?
Absolutely. I also, despite being able to talk with anybody when I was a cop, when I was in the military, it was also uncomfortable because I felt when I first started off, I was like, oh man, I don't know anything about finance, and they don't probably know anything about my world, and here we are trying to talk and make this work. And I realized that I had to become unafraid of rejection. There's been plenty of times where people left me on red even after we've established a relationship, and that's fine. But I made sure I communicate with you until we hit that dead end. And there's others that I got off well with. Like, I was able to be you want them to like you as a person, not just, oh yeah, I have this cool job in the military, or oh, I really want to do this. I even have, on my work email, I get emails from college kids being like, hey, found you on LinkedIn, I'm gonna email you, just cold calling me like that. And you know what, I will still speak with them just because I'm that kind of person. I wanted to find that person when I was looking to get into the industry. So any kind of cold calling like that, I'm like, all right, let's hear it. And it's important that you have that strive. I'm not saying like harass and annoy your network, but I'm saying that you need to have them like you as a person and have them want to help you.
So it kind of sounds like you just got to kind of find that balance of not pushing too much, but just pushing enough, and then just being comfortable with like understanding that you're probably going to get rejected, and it's probably going to happen 100, 200 times. So.
Yeah, you want them to like you as a person, and you can't be afraid of rejection, and you're going to make mistakes with networking. Just two different worlds, being from somebody who served in the military and to have their experience versus somebody who's like, all right, I went to college and I'm in finance, so and it's important that they know you as a human, and that they like you and want to help you, and the rest will come easy.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. And I would also say, sorry, I would also say that's important that you are able to translate your skills effectively. I know that's one of the big lessons that I was given throughout my mentorship, that you need to really try to like, I'm not they'll sniff out if you're trying to like be fake, about stuff. You want to be realistic. You want to understand that, like, all right, like, I know we're from two different worlds, but look, here's some parallels.
Daniel Johnson, you're up next.
Yeah, hey, how's it going, Rich?
Hi, how are you?
Pretty good. Hey, man. First of all, just thanks for spending some time with us this morning. It's always valuable to have you guys. I was 20 years security forces in the Air Force, and I'll just tell you off the bat, I've never, ever, ever claimed to be a cop, especially after hearing your story, man. So sometimes working mids, I would sit back and just listen to our radio. We did a little bit interoperability, so we were able to pick up on like the Tucson PD, and
Yeah.
you could just tell when things are about to go down, you know. It's like, oh man, that Circle K is about to get robbed, you know. So just nothing but respect for hey, what you guys do, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But
Likewise.
oh yeah, appreciate it. But two questions here, and they're not going to be too difficult at all. But the first one, I think someone asked you earlier about legacy, and then kind of like hey, what you want to leave behind and all of that. But and your answer was, hey, what's most important to you is family, and I think we all can relate to that. So I actually graduated from high school in New York, so I'm just wondering where's your favorite spot when you need somewhere just to get away from the work, get away from the hustle. That your one spot in New York that hey, this is our go-to.
I would say that I enjoy I actually enjoy the area where I work. It's new to me. It's Hudson Yards. It's actually new to the city, really, in general. It has the Javits Center right there. So when the car show's going on, I love cars. I'll go walk over there. There's a nice mall there that's air conditioned. So when it's hot out, I could go in there, look around, get some food, walk. They have the High Line there. You could like walk. It's a previously was an elevated train platform, and now it's like a walking park that's elevated above the city streets.
Oh,
So
nice.
I enjoy walking around that. I could spend the whole day in the city. I don't live in it, but I could always I'm not I don't get bored too easily. I'm always trying to find something to do. So
No,
city's good for
absolutely.
that.
No, that's cool. So you said that was a Hudson Yard?
Hudson Yards. Yep,
Oh, okay, okay.
that's where BlackRock is. That's where I'm able to immediately walk around, and it's important to all right, let me step away from my desk for a sec. Let me go get some fresh
Right.
air for 20 minutes, you know.
Okay, no, perfect, perfect. And then last one, like I said, it's not gonna be hard. So is New York pizza really the best?
In my experience, I would say yes, I really like the New York pizza. It's whenever I go to Florida, I've only been able to find like one good pizza shop where I go to in Florida particularly, and yeah, I'm a big supporter of New York pizza.
No, that's awesome. It's like after like you're in Japan or something, like you can't eat sushi in the US anymore. You know,
Yeah.
commissary sushi is no longer good, you know, you don't eat it anymore. So but hey man, I really appreciate your time, your story, and I'm so glad and just I just know it's a blessing to be able to, you know, step back and get back into, you know, hey, what you're doing and that passion for life, especially after, you know, facing so much adversity up front. So I appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Daniel.
I got one quick cheat code, and maybe you'll agree with me, maybe you won't. But Fort Hamilton, that's a really cool spot to go hang out for a little bit. If you've got your ID card, you can go over there. You can hang out by the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. It's a really cool area. It's not too crowded. It's pretty quiet. Like now, that's a good place to like go stop, go grab some food real quick, and then like kind of head back into the office.
Good to know.
Yeah. Um, but with that, we're about to bring in the heavy hitter. So, Jordy, you're up.
Thanks, John. And John, great job with this, man. emceeing. That was awesome. Rich, you are an amazing guy, man. I truly loved listening to this. I'll tell you, I really admire your energy, your passion for what you do, you know, but what stands out the most to me is just your humility, your honesty, you know, your transparency. You're just like a everyday guy who looks like super fun to hang out with and be with. You're not trying to be somebody you're not. And I think that's just such a great lesson, you know, for all of us, you know, and then plus you've shown how it's possible to pivot from something you did not do in the military, right? This new and foreign industry and then just absolutely kick butt by getting hooked up with the world's top company in your industry. I mean, it's super inspiring to me and appreciate you so much for doing this today and coming on. I think you've impacted a lot of people today.
Thank you, Jordy. It means a lot. And it's always important for all of you. If you get to where you want to be, it's always important to give back and support those who are also who are in your, who are in the shoes that you once were in.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Well, thank you for doing this, man. We appreciate you. We will be in touch, and have a great weekend. And thanks again, man.
Thank you as well. And if you guys want to add me on LinkedIn, go right ahead. Like I said, I'm always willing to help. So thank you and take care. Thank you for having me.
Take care, buddy. Bye-bye.
Thanks again.
Take care.
All right, John, great job, man. That
You
was
made it work.
awesome. Oh, I'm sorry, Wanda, I didn't see. I cut him off. Did you have a question?
I think she's doing the clapping thing.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. All right, that was the clap. Good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, great, all great questions, guys. That was really good. And I actually like it better watching you guys do more of the talking than me talking. So thank you for all participating. Take like a guy like that, take him up on his offer, right? He said you can connect with him, connect. You never know what could happen. You never know. If you want to take it a step further and really make an impression, write a little blurb and post it today on LinkedIn, right? Oh, I was in Seven Eagles Academy today. We had an amazing speaker. Tag him. He taught us all about whatever you want to write. You'll make him look like a big shot to his boss, right? So you're helping him out. You're going to leverage his network. You never know. Anyway.
Yeah, tag BlackRock too.
Tag BlackRock, yeah. Tag the New York Police Department. Tag whoever. I tag the Air Force or whatever branch he was with. But awesome. That was good, man. All right, so we'll take a 12-minute break. We'll come back. We have an amazing speaker coming on next, Jason Dion. So you guys will get a chance to hear from one of the best out there.
Nice. That's the course I use for my CISP.
Ah, you got to tell him. He'll love that.
Yeah, good stuff.
Anyone else? Anyone